And today we're going to do a video on this. Have you ever seen one of these before? This is called a Jiffy mower. It's a 16-inch battery-powered lawnmower. And we figured it was made around 1947. And we got this from a Taryl fan, Pushcart Jimmy from Chicago. It came to him at a thrift store. Now, I can't remember exactly if he was volunteering at the thrift store, if he worked at the thrift store, but it came in. He never saw one, so he bought it from the thrift store, and he's a Taryl fan, so he gave it to Taryl. And now we're going to do a video on it to see if we can get this thing working and cutting again. Now, we know absolutely nothing about this lawnmower. It's very rare and very, very hard to find any information on it. So what we did is we put it on YouTube and we put it on Facebook. And then we had some grass rats, Melanie Dawn and her husband Bradley. She found the information on it. Melanie Dawn did. Now, I don't know if she liked to be called a grass rat, but she did find some information on this for us. I searched and searched and searched the inner screen. I could not find anything on it. But I guess she's real good at finding stuff. And she found some information on it, which we're going to share with you now. So check this thing out. This thing is called a Jiffy mower. And it runs on a 6-volt car battery. And there is one thing missing, which would be a battery charger that went back here. Now, we've got some pictures from the Wichita, Kansas Historical Society, because this thing was made in Wichita, Kansas. So I contacted them to find out if they might have had some information on it. And they've got one in their collection that was in storage that we're going to show you pictures of. It's a little bit different than ours. This wheel is in the center, and the hood has got a little bit different shape. It's got a different decal on the front, and you can see it's got the battery charger on the back, which ours is missing. Because if you look at the picture that Melanie sent us, you can definitely see this is the one we got. And we're trying to find that decal. And you can see there's something on the back which turns out to be the battery charger. So check this out. It's an electric mower without a cord, constructed of aluminum, lightweight, that even the kids can push around. So constructed that at no time do the wheels run over uncut grass or weeds. Wow. Who cares? The Jiffy mower will cut weeds shoulder high. No gasoline engine to start, no fuel to mess around with, no dragging cord to get in your way. Sells reasonable too. See this Jiffy mower before you buy. It's absolutely the newest thing on the market. It's an electric mower without a cord. We'll be glad to give you a demonstration. Thanks, Melanie and Bradley, for this information. She also found this, which explains all about it. 6-volt car battery. This is a little confusing. Or from ordinary 110 volt AC house current. I think that's wrong information. That's for the battery charger. You plug in the battery charger and it charges the 6-volt battery that's in it. It doesn't run on either or. One set of set screws. The blades of the mower may be set to any height from ground level to 4 inches high. By removing the shield over the cutting blades, the operator can mow weeds shoulder high. So that's how you're able to mow tall weeds, which if we get this thing going, we're going to find out if that's true. Jiffy has its uses inside the house too. With brush attachments, the Jiffy can be used for sweeping, buffing, or polishing floors. Oh, yeah, that's just what I want to do. Go cut grass with this thing and bring this thing in the house. It's got a bunch of grass all over it, and then start sweeping the floor. Yeah, you're going to sweep the floor because of the grass that you got in there, and polish it. The Service Station Supply Company distributes the Jiffy mower throughout Kansas, Oklahoma, Nebraska, and Missouri. I could not find anything on this company, the Service Station Supply Company. Now, as you notice, this was in the Wichita Eagle, the Wednesday morning edition, April 16th, 1947. Now, I couldn't find any information on Jiffy mower. I couldn't find any information on that other sticker that's on the one from the Wichita, Kansas Historical Society, the one, the best manufacturing and equipment company ever made, or whatever that company's name is, which you'll see on there. I couldn't find anything on that. But it is a rare lawnmower. And it's pretty simple design. So what we're going to do is try to get it going. So this just lifts off, this cover. And that's where the battery would go. And this is where it hooks up. And then it just uses a button you push. This looks like an old car button. So you just hold that down and it starts spinning. And then when you let off, you know, it stops. So that's kind of safe. And then it uses like sickle bar mower blades. And these also remind me of those blades that those old Jacobsons would use. Remember those Jacobson lawnmowers that had that big plate underneath and had 4 of these on there? But these are sickle bar mower blades. And what they did is they just riveted them to the end of this blade. And if you notice, the blade is sitting below the deck here. And that's fixed level there. So I don't know, this whole unit slides up and down. That's how you adjust it. But this is fixed. So this is not safe, where this sits below the deck. Look at that. And then here's those screws they're talking about. There's one here, and there's one here, and there's one here. So I'm pretty sure you loosen those bolts and this motor slides up and down, and that's how you adjust your cutting height. But other than that, it's in good condition. Everything's there, like I said, except the battery charger. The grips are there, they're not tore up. Looks like it's made out of aluminum. This looks like it was silver. And I believe the wheels were silver with these black hubcaps. But you could tell there was some kind of decal on the front of this thing. And it was black and yellow. You can see a little bit of a remnant of it, how that decal went on there. I'd like to find what that decal looked like. I searched and searched the internet. I thought, you know what? Popular Mechanics magazines were real popular back in the day. That's where everybody went in the back of those magazines. So I went on the inner screen and I went and looked at a bunch of old issues from 1947 to like 1950 in the back in the ads. Found a lot of interesting ads back there on lawnmowers and stuff, but nothing on this Jiffy mower. So grass rats out there, maybe you can help me find what that decal looks like. So Melanie did her part. She found us all this. And again, thank you very much, Melanie. You and your husband, Bradley. And you can see that decal right there. And like I said, the one from the Historical Society has a different decal on it. And they moved the wheel to the center. So I'm thinking that one that they have is newer. Now, I wanted to put this when it was restored in their museum, but they told me that floor space is at a premium. They appreciated the offer of me, you know, giving that to them to put in the museum, but they didn't want it because they don't have the floor space for it. But it is neat, and I want to get it going. So the first thing we need is a 6-volt car battery. So I got a hold of my my interstate battery dealer, and they had a 6-volt battery, and they donated the battery for this video. So I just got to give them a shout out to Kevin and all the guys and gals at Interstate Battery Distributor in Fowler, Indiana. Hi y'all! Hi everybody over there in Fowler. Thanks for the battery. Now looking at this, it just got like a car starter solenoid and this 6-volt motor here, and then a wire, trigger wire here that runs out the solenoid. So this of course would be our positive and this is our negative. And then when you activate the solenoid, it transfers the power, because solenoid is just a big switch, to the motor. Now this is loose, and of course this is loose. So, and these are all corroded real bad. So what we need to do is check and see if the motor is any good and see if the solenoid is any good. So what I can do to check the solenoid is put 12 volts to this and see if this thing clicks or makes a noise. And then that'll tell us if that's any good. So since I don't have any jumpers for this, I'm just going to use a 12 volt battery, because that'll work. So let me get my little jumper pack. Where is that? So let me ground this. And then let me just run a jumper wire right to here, and this should click. And nothing. Oh. So we got ground. So this solenoid is dead. Alright. So let's see if the motor is any good. So I'm going to disconnect this. Going to use 12 volts anymore. We're going to use 6 now. So here's our ground. So here's the 6-volt battery. Here's our negative. Let me clean that. I'm going to get a file and clean that up. And then we're just going to jump from here to here and see if it spins that motor. So give me a minute. I cleaned this end of the battery terminal, the negative, and I took the negative off of here and cleaned it real good so we got a good ground. And then I'm just going to run this big heavy cable from here to here, and let's see if this motor will spin. Woo, it's spinning! Squeaky, but hey, we're going to restore it. Alright, so next thing I'm going to do, man, that thing really powered up. According to that article, if you stop to read it, they claim it'll mow up to 2 acres of grass. That's a lot of grass for a little 16-inch mower. That'd take you forever. Alright, so I'm going to take this solenoid off and see if I can get it to free up. If not, I'm going to have to get one somewhere. But I'm going to take this off and see if we can get this thing to start switching again. And then we're going to have to take a look at that button. If I can get that button to work, this thing will work. So hang in there, grass rats. Okay, I took this over on my grinder with a wire wheel, and I noticed, because I buffed on this, and I noticed that this thing actually moves. But it's still not working. But I think if I'm very careful, this crimped cap, because I like to keep everything original as possible. I think if I just uncrimp this and get this cap off and get this thing apart, it probably just needs a good cleaning in order for it to work, because it's not shifting. Okay, I got this cap popped off. Let's see what's in here. It's a little plunger. Everything looks good and clean. Maybe I gotta have 6 volts going to this in order to get this to energize. Alright, this little solenoid probably works different than what I'm thinking. I figured it'd be all rusty and stuff in here. So it's gonna suck this down, and then it's gonna make the connection. This big copper washer. Alright, let me snap this back together. We'll reinstall it and see if we can get it to work. Okay, I figured this thing out. I had this solenoid figured out all wrong. This post goes to ground. Now I'm sure there's some of you out there going, Taryl, that post goes to ground. You don't put 6 volts to that. Yeah, this works opposite. So I got everything hooked up. I cleaned this cable. I could tell this isn't the original cable. This is like an aftermarket add-on. So I put some heat shrink on there. So we're going to have to replace both these cables when we restore it. Try to find some cables from that era, some battery cables. But here's a little button I push. Now I got it all hooked up. I got the button hooked up. Now when I hit that button, it's going to spin. So this button goes to ground. So when you push this, it's supposed to make a connection which goes to ground, and I'll show you. Here's a jumper wire. I'm going to put this jumper to that terminal, which is going to the button, and when I touch this to ground, the negative side of the battery, this thing will start. What I need to do now is probably clean that switch, and then we'll be mowing grass with the Jiffy mower. They probably made peanut butter too. So I got this old horn button disconnected, and you can see there's some of the original paint for the handle, that's silver. So we'll redo this silver, but I'm going to take this button off and see if we can get it to work. It's probably just dirty. See if I can get it cleaned up, because when I touch this to ground it should start. If I can get the wire to come through the handle here. Take this over on the bench and see if I can get it to work. Okay, I got it apart. I didn't ruin it. Now I can take this and blast it in the cabinet so we can redo it, and the plastic button is good. So it looks like when you just push on that button, these contacts got to make contact on here. So I just got to clean these. Look like they're bent, maybe just bend them a little bit. And we'll put it back together and it should work. Now, seeing how all the pictures on this thing are in black and white, I don't know if this thing was chrome, if it was just natural metal when they put it on because it was a horn button. So I'm going to paint it red with black, because the handle we know is going to be silver. And figure the power button, you're going to want it to stand out so you know it's the power button. So I'm just going to go ahead and paint it red, since we don't know what all the colors were. So we need to let this dry before I reassemble it and put it on there before we cut grass with it. So I just wanted to tell you some other stuff that I found when I was looking in those magazines, Popular Mechanics back in the 40s. And another thing I was searching was that from that the one from Wichita, Kansas, from the Historical Society. This is the one they've got, and this one had that decal on there. Best Manufacturing and Equipment Company. So when I was giggle searching that on the inner screen, I did come across a patent, but then I couldn't, it said for a lawnmower, but I couldn't find any more information on that patent. And then they also applied for a trademark. So I thought, all right, well, let me see if I can find, maybe they tried to trademark that decal. And then I was searching all that stuff, and I found some interesting stuff. I found this Old Trapper Rat Crunches. Sounds tasty, don't it? For all you grass rats out there, don't you want to have some rat crunches? And then in the back of those Popular Mechanic magazines, I did find an ad for an old battery-powered lawnmower that you could buy, like a kit to put together. And then they also had a kit where you could take your old reel mower and convert it to gas-powered, because, you got to remember, people back then were pushing those reel mowers, and it's like, man, this thing's hard to push and cut this grass. Too bad it wasn't gas-powered and self-propelled. Well, they made kits to convert your old mower back then in those Popular Mechanics. So those are interesting. I liked looking through all those old Popular Mechanics that I found on the inner screen in the back. So as soon as we get this button, get the paint dry on it, and I got it all cleaned up, and we get it back together, then we'll go cut some grass, you grass rats. Have some rat crunches while you're watching. The first part of this vintage battery-powered mower I needed to restore was the on-off button, this horn button. So we sandblasted it, I painted it red, and we had to wait for it to dry. Now the way they had this hooked up was, they had this little tab hooked here where I got this copper piece that I made, and they had it soldered to the side. And I'm like, that's not making a good connection. We're gonna have to upgrade a few things on this battery-powered mower, that they didn't do in 1947 to make it better. So I had some plate copper here, piece of copper I've had for years. I've had this for years, probably 40 years, maybe longer. So I cut a piece of copper and I made a tab and I ran it to one of the mounting screws. So now we can mount this to there, and then this should work, and we can go out and cut some grass with it and see how this thing is going to cut some grass. We're going to cut some grass because we're grass rats, and that's what we do. We cut grass because we're grass rats. Alright, we got our switch installed, and another thing that happened. When we were testing this thing, it was working fine, and all of a sudden it just quit working. And it was this battery cable, this negative one. This thing is all corroded and messed up, and I'm like, what the heck is going on here? Had this thing working perfect, and then all of a sudden it quit working. And the way this battery's in here, they don't have anything to keep it from bouncing around. So you may get this stuff when you buy stuff from the store, and I always save this stuff, whatever this stuff is. I just call it stuff because that's what it is, stuff. So I tuck some of that in there to kind of keep this from bouncing around. I got new battery cables coming when we go to restore it, but I want to make sure that it's going to be safe, because we're going to go out and cut with it. And then I put this battery protector on there because I'm sure this was added at some point. This is like a fix. So we're gonna put that on there. And then we're gonna put the lid on. I'll probably glue something inside here. A little cushion. Probably put some rubber mat in the bottom, but we'll do all that when we go to restore it. Right now we want to cut grass with it. All right, so let's fire it up, fire it up, fire it up. Woo! Listen to that thing. Sounds like an airplane. Man, that's crazy. This is some crazy technology. Woo! Crazy! Let's go cut some grass. All right, we're out here to cut some grass. This stuff's a little bit tall. I've got it set at this height. And then we're gonna try to cut some of that tall stuff that's out there. But in order to do that, it said in the brochure, if you read that stuff that we found online from Melanie and them, thanks Melanie again, thanks Melanie and Bradley, we had to take this off. So right now we're just gonna cut some grass, see how it cuts. We'll take it back in the shop, take this off, then we'll come out and try to cut that high stuff and see if it cuts it like it says in that information that Melanie found. All right, ready? Fire it up! Push, boy, he gave me a workout back in 1947. Those people must have been fit as a fiddle back then. Got a bunch of grass all accumulated around the deck. So yeah, now I'm gonna go in and put the floor polishing attachment on it, sweep the floor with all this grass all over it. All right, let's take it in the shop. Take this off and then see if it'll cut that stuff like they claim. I can't see this thing cutting 1 to 2 acres of grass. You'd be wore out pushing this thing. Plus that battery would probably go dead. All right, let's check it out. Let's take it in there, take that off, and try it again. Now, one thing I noticed about this battery lawnmower, you got to take safety into consideration. because I don't like the way they have this thing with that ground activating the lawnmower. You know, it breaks the ground circuit. Look at this down here. Now, I don't know if this was factory or not, because, you know, they really didn't care about safety back then. I don't know if they had a regular connection here or not, but I'm sure there was a connection so you could loosen these and take the handle off in case you needed to transport this thing somewhere. Now, could you see disconnecting this wire and letting that bare wire dangle there? And then you and the wife say are going to load this in the 1948 Chevy, and then that wire accidentally touches ground, it's going to turn that motor on. And then whoop, off come the fingers. Just like Pop Goes the Weasel, off come the fingers. So before I take this cover off, I went and I disconnected that negative battery cable. Because this thing is kind of scary because of the lack of safeties in it. So I'm keeping that in mind. So now that I got that disconnected, hit the button. It's not going to work. I'm going to go ahead and take that guard off, and then we're going to see if it'll cut them tall weeds like they claim. You can make all kind of claims back in 1947. Doesn't mean that they got to be true. All right, 2 bolts, 1/2-inch head, took that guard off. Now we got the blade exposed. Look at this danger mower. You know why there's probably no information on this thing? This company probably didn't last long. They probably got sued a bunch of times over this danger mower. All right, look out, cameraman. I'm going to kick it on. Jiffy mower. All right, let's go out and see if it'll cut tall grass shoulder high like they claim, even though the grass out there isn't shoulder high. Let's just see what it'll do. All right, here we go. Let me get it up to speed. It's cutting. Cut that tree down. Job if it was more powerful. I'm sure they returned these to the dealer and said,
That thing ain't gonna cut no 2 acres of grass and barely cut my lawn. You're ripping me off. Jiffy mower. You're ripping me off.
That's probably why they went out of business, or you can't find no information on it. I can just be going on and on and on about scenarios, why we can't find information on it. Well, there you have it. 1947 Jiffy mower that I got working again. Now we are going to restore this thing. I like it. I think it's cool. I'm going to call it the Danger Mower. That's what the name should have been. Danger Mower. So if any of you grass rats out there might have one of these, I want to see what that decal looked like. And I want to see what the battery charger looked like on the back. If you got any pictures of that. If not, I'm just going to go off the pictures that I got from the Historical Society and kind of build my own battery charger on the back. But we're going to go ahead now that we know that it works. We're going to strip it down, repaint the handle. You know, I'm still kicking around what I want to do with all this aluminum, if I should polish it, make it all shiny and stuff. It is cool. I like it. It's just, it probably didn't do what they claimed it did. You know, judging from that story and stuff, they made this thing sound like it was a miracle mower. This mower may have been fine for you back in the day if you had a tiny lawn. You know, you had a little lawn and then you wanted to take it in the house and polish and scrub your floors when you got done. That may have worked fine for that, but you know, mowing 1 to 2 acres, 16-inch wide blade, you know how long that would take? That would wear you out pushing this thing. It's you know, that battery, and it's kind of heavy, 6 volt. You know, that's all they had back then. There wasn't a lot of 12 volt stuff. 6 volt was the norm. It's dangerous. But, you know, they liked danger back then. You know, a lot of people walking around like this. Hey, how you doing? Hey, Jiffy mower? Oh, yeah, Jiffy mower. Yep, I'd had 2 more fingers hadn't I bought that Jiffy mower. So, subscribe to this YouTube channel, Taryl Fixes All. I'm Taryl. That's Slip Dog. I'm wearing the Slip Dog shirt. Follow me with your antique battery-powered lawn equipment on Facebook and Instagram. Go to our web store, buy some Taryl Apparel. We got all kinds of Taryl stuff. We don't have any electric lawnmowers, but go to our store, check out our stuff. And as always, there's your dinner. Woo! Stay tuned for the rest of the restoration. See how I played that? Rest of the restoration. Hey, yeah! Jiffy mower! It mows in a jiffy. Woo! Battery powered lawnmower, dangerous. Danger mower. Dangerous.